Pretty Woman became a symbol of the 90s and gave the world one of Hollywood's most famous duos, Richard Gere and Julia Roberts. But behind the beautiful fairy tale on screen, there was much more than just a love story. Why does Gere himself dislike the film that made him a heartthrob for millions? What scandals and tragedies followed Julia Roberts after her dizzying success? And is it true that there was a secret connection between the main stars that Hollywood prefers not to talk about? All the secrets of Pretty Woman and its stars in our new video. But before recalling the events related to the filming of the movie, let's trace the path of the actors to their legendary meeting on screen. Let's start with Richard Gere. The actor was born on August 31st, 1949, into a large American family to homemaker Doris Ann and insurance agent Homer George. In addition to Richard, who was the second child, the Geres raised 5 other children. The parents were educated but simple people, and they managed to give their kids a happy childhood in the suburbs of New York. The future actor devoted himself to learning to play the guitar, shown in the school drama club, and practiced gymnastics. After high school, he received a sports scholarship and went on to study philosophy and directing at the University of Massachusetts. At that time, Gere dreamed of becoming a professional musician and saw himself as a world-famous trumpeter. These crazy dreams ultimately prevented him from getting his degree. First, he left in search of an opportunity to make it as a musician, and then he became interested in theater and dropped out. Finally settling in New York, Richard tried his luck at theater auditions, and one day, he got lucky. In 1975, among a number of secondary characters, he landed the lead role in the play Killer's Head. The young actor's performance was so talented that film producers took notice. Hollywood heartthrob John Travolta turned down the lead role in the film American Gigolo, and the job went to Gere with a fee of $35,000. Thanks to this role, he instantly became the darling of a whole army of female fans. A big part of this was the fact that the actor had to appear completely nude in some scenes. He became typecast as a heartthrob and lover, a role that over time began to weigh on him. Richard's filmography was then enriched with The Honorary Consul and Breathless, and in 1984, he starred in the gangster film The Cotton Club, directed by Francis Ford Coppola, where the actor recalled his youth and performed several trumpet parts.
What is this, a kidnapping?
Would you like that? Because I think I'm up to it. You do move me. I don't know why, but you do move me. In unusual places.
True fame came to Gere when he was nearing 40, namely after the release of Pretty Woman. But before talking about the meeting of Richard Gere and Julia Roberts on the film set, let's move to the suburbs of Atlanta, Georgia, where on October 28, 1967, our heroine was born. Her parents, Betty Lou and Walter, former actors and playwrights, founded the Atlanta Actors and Writers Workshop, and while expecting Julia, they ran a children's acting school in Georgia. By happy coincidence, the children of Coretta and Martin Luther King Jr. attended that school. In gratitude for managing the only racially integrated troupe in the region, Coretta paid the hospital bill for the Roberts family when Julia was born. At that time, the family was experiencing financial difficulties, and besides Julia, they were raising 2 older children, son Eric and daughter Lisa. Incidentally, they also connected their lives with acting. Interestingly, Julia is a distant relative of actor Edward Norton and well-known feminist activist Gloria Steinem. She also later discovered that her ancestors had been slave owners, which is not surprising for the American South. In 1971, Betty Lou filed for divorce, which was finalized in 1972. That same year, she remarried Michael Motz, and from then on, life at home turned into hell. The man often resorted to violence and was also unemployed. Another daughter, Nancy, was born into the family, and out of respect for her and her mother, Julia did not share details of that difficult period with the public. The future actress's biological father died of cancer when she was 10 years old, which was a severe blow for her. Her stepfather disappeared from her life in 1983 when her mother divorced him, realizing her mistake. As a child, Julia wanted to become a veterinarian and also played the clarinet in the school band. It is also known that at the age of 13, she got a job as a waitress in a pizzeria, working her shifts after school. After graduating from high school, Campbell Roberts enrolled at Georgia State University, but dropped out. She reconsidered her outlook on life and her future career, so she moved to New York and began attending acting classes. In addition, she signed a contract with the Click modeling agency. She never considered herself beautiful, especially since her classmates teased her for her tall height, thinness, and big mouth. Julia soon quit her acting classes because she didn't see any sense in them and began going to auditions. By the way, many years later, she admitted that she envied colleagues who had received formal acting training. Her breakthrough came thanks to a trip to Hollywood to visit her brother Eric. At first, he helped his sister and invited her to co-star with him in the action film Blood Red. However, by the time the movie reached theaters, many things had already happened in Roberts' life. She had a major falling out with her brother, appeared in the TV series Miami Vice, and the musical melodrama Satisfaction. On the set of the latter, Julia met 35-year-old Liam Neeson, and the 16-year age gap didn't prevent a passionate romance. Rumor had it they even moved in together, but Julia turned out not to be ready for family life. Then in 1988, the romantic comedy drama Mystic Pizza hit theaters. Julia was almost approved for the role of one of the waitresses after her first audition, but she was asked to dye her hair dark. At the next audition, she didn't even try very hard. While her competitors diligently studied their lines, Roberts listened to music in headphones and sang along loudly.
Heather, you do just fine if you just use your head a little more.
Yeah, well, don't worry about me. I'm not gonna be slinging pizza for the rest of my life.
The best pizza!
After the premiere, the young actress felt famous for the first time. But it happened in an unexpected place. Julia was at the cinema with her mother, and, going to the restroom, heard, "The girl in the first stall, were you in Mystic Pizza?" Flustered, Roberts answered yes, after which an unknown fan asked for an autograph, sliding a napkin under the stall door. Julia replied to such audacity by asking her to wait a little. In 1989, Julia appeared in the melodrama Steel Magnolias.
What does Jackson say about all this? He's so excited. He says he doesn't care whether it's a boy or a girl, but I know he really wants a son so bad he could taste it. He's really cute about the whole thing. It's all he can.
The filming took place in a not-so-pleasant atmosphere, as director Herbert Ross picked on all the actors. But Julia suffered the most. He not only criticized her acting, but also her appearance. And Roberts cried in the evenings because of it. Her consolation was a romance with her on-screen fiancé, Dylan McDermott. He proposed to her, but their engagement did not last long. Steel Magnolias turned out to be a professional success for Julia. She not only earned $90,000, but also received a Golden Globe and an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actress. By that time, she was already planning to star in a movie under the working title $3,000. It was conceived as a drama with no hint of a fairy tale love story. But when Disney got involved in the project, the plot changed drastically. In the end, the film was titled Pretty Woman. Preparing for the role, Julia spent a lot of time in a free clinic on Hollywood Boulevard to better understand her character. As for Pretty Woman, Richard absolutely did not want to take the role. He disliked the script, which later changed beyond recognition, and was tired of roles that exploited his image as a lover. But his agent persuaded him to meet with the actress chosen for the female lead, and Julia Roberts convinced him to accept the part. Experts still struggle to explain the magical ingredient that turned a simple story into a real hit.
Did you really say $100 an hour?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you don't have any prior engagements, I'd be very pleased if you would accompany me into the hotel.
With a production budget of $14 million, the worldwide box office reached $463 million. Perhaps the reason lies in the chemistry that emerged on set between the lead actors, because to create a happy ending, the screenwriters had to rewrite the finale. Originally, Edward had no intention of climbing up to Vivian's window, like the prince from her sweet dreams. In the original story, the rich man pushed the girl out of the car and threw money at her. That was how the movie was supposed to end. Gere himself dislikes Pretty Woman for many reasons, and emphasizes this in interviews. That is why he was very glad to receive an offer from the master of Japanese cinema, Akira Kurosawa, who gave him a small role in the anti-war film Rhapsody in August. On set, Richard had to speak Japanese, a language he did not know. He memorized the lines by heart. The maestro was very worried that he would not be able to pay a Hollywood star, but Gere assured him that he would act for free. In the end, the director paid him a symbolic fee, also covered Gere's airfare, and even offered to buy tickets for his friends if they wanted to come to Japan. That friend was Cindy Crawford, who had already been his wife for a year. One of the most beautiful couples of the time had formed back in 1988, and in 1991, they officially married in Las Vegas. The ceremony was very modest. Only 4 witnesses were present, and the rings the newlyweds exchanged were made by themselves out of candy foil. Many believe that a Vegas wedding is a bad omen, and perhaps there is some truth to that, since in 1995 the couple divorced. Gere and Crawford chose not to make this event into a tragedy or a spectacle. Everything ended quickly and quietly, and then each went their own way. At the same time, Roberts starred in the sci-fi horror film Flatliners, for which she earned $500,000. On set, she once again began a romance with a colleague. Her chosen one was Kiefer Sutherland. A year after meeting, the couple was planning to marry. The tabloids called it the wedding of the year, but the ceremony never happened. Just a few days before the big day, the bride and groom announced that the wedding was postponed and then canceled altogether. The media portrayed Julia as a heartless villain who left her fiancé at the altar for her lover Jason Patric. But in reality, things were not so dramatic. Kiefer held no grudge and was even grateful to his ex for making a wise decision, and the fling with Patrick quickly fizzled out. Parallel to her film work, another romance appeared in her life, with country singer and actor Lyle Lovett. Even before they met, Julia had been a fan of his music, and just 3 weeks later, they decided to marry. The marriage concluded in 1993, lasted 2 years, with the last one filled with tabloid scandals. The media constantly tried to catch Roberts cheating and tracked how much time the spouses spent together. And they saw each other very rarely due to busy work schedules, so they parted amicably. In the following years, the actress slowed down a bit. Although she regularly appeared on screen, she worked less intensively and in less high-profile projects. An exception was the series Friends, but Julia appeared in only 1 episode of season 2, along with her sister Lisa. On set, she had a romance with Matthew Perry, but it did not last long. At the same time, the actress's fees continued to grow. Meanwhile, Julia began dating actor Benjamin Bratt. It was love at first sight, and it unfolded in front of the public eye. The the couple was seen together in public places under the lenses of paparazzi, and at first, they happily shared their joy. But over time, the attention became overwhelming, disagreements piled up, and after several years, Julia and Benjamin broke up. Despite setbacks in her personal life, the actress entered a streak of successful projects. At that time, Gere's path led him to Tibet. He met the Dalai Lama and almost became a monk. Richard passionately spoke out about the dire situation in the region wherever he could. At one political event, he got carried away, promising to fight the Chinese alone if Tibet did not receive protection. His speech caused murmurs in the room, and only one woman had the courage to turn the pathos into a joke. She turned out to be American actress Carrie Lowell, the famous Bond girl from License to Kill. Very soon, Lowell became Mr. Gere's second wife. In 2000, the couple had a son, whom they named Homer after his grandfathers. Meanwhile, Richard Gere's film career continued to grow. For his work in the detective melodrama Summersby and the drama Intersection, the actor earned $5 million and $7 million, respectively. And in the action film The Jackal, he starred alongside Bruce Willis. However, their collaboration went so poorly that they vowed never to work together again.
Give over, Preston. Who are you really looking for?
A pro. Calls himself the Jackal.
Oh, that fella. The mystery man.
Incidentally, Gere could have played the lead role in Die Hard, which he declined for some reason. At the same time, the creators of Pretty Woman decided to cash in by reuniting Richard Gere and Julia Roberts in the romantic comedy Runaway Bride. The film was a success, grossed $300 million at the box office, and earned Gere a fee of $13 million. Julia agreed to participate only on the condition that there would be no sequels, and that her fee would be $17 million.
Look, I'm not going to show you guys anything. I am a soon-to-be married woman, so just give me the photograph.
I would love to give you this, believe me, I would. Just give us a quick gander at that rose.
Amusingly, the platypus face her character made ended up in the movie at the director's insistence. He had once seen Roberts entertain his grandchildren with it. Everyone wonders if there was a romance between Richard Gere and Julia Roberts. Despite their obvious on-screen chemistry, in real life, the actors were never a couple. Nevertheless, they share a strong friendship that has lasted for decades. For her next role in the 2001 adventure film, The Mexican, the actress received much less, $5 million. However, on set, she met her future husband, cinematographer Daniel Moder. At the time, he was married but soon divorced. In the crime film Ocean's 11, Julia appeared for $10 million.
You remember the day that I went for cigarettes and didn't come back? You must have noticed.
I don't smoke, don't sit.
Now, they tell me that I paid my debt to society.
Funny, I never got a check.
Her co-stars, George Clooney and Brad Pitt, jokingly sent her $20 with a note that read, "We heard you're getting 20 per movie," pretending to forget that Roberts' fees included 6 more zeros, to which the actress replied, "Don't tell my agent, but I'd work with Soderbergh for 20 bucks. On July 4th, 2002, Roberts married Daniel Moder at their ranch in New Mexico. Interestingly, the only celebrity present, besides the bride of course, was Bruce Willis, and Julia chose a simple cotton dress designed by her friend. In 2004, the romantic drama Closer premiered, for which Julia received $20 million, as well as the only sequel of her career, Ocean's 12. During filming, Roberts was actually pregnant with twins, and George Clooney very tenderly looked after her. The babies were born on November 28th of that year, 4 weeks early, but fortunately without complications. The daughter was named Hazel Patricia, and the son Phineas Walter. In 2007, she and her husband began work on the drama Fireflies in the Garden. Daniel was the cinematographer, and Julia played the pregnant mother of the protagonist. In fact, she really was pregnant during filming, and on June 18th, gave birth to a son, Henry Daniel. At the same time, the actress's name was being discussed in the press in an extremely unpleasant way. Her younger sister Nancy accused her of bullying over her appearance. She often gave interviews in which she blamed Julia for all her failures. This conflict ended tragically. Nancy took her own life after writing a several-page letter accusing her older sister. Incidentally, Roberts' relationship with her brother Eric also did not work out, but she adores his daughter Emma. The actress starred in quite successful projects, then left the screen for several years, but returned in 2022. She played the wife of U.S. Attorney General John Mitchell in the miniseries Gaslit, for which she was nominated for a Golden Globe, as well as in the rom-com Ticket to Paradise. Her partner was George Clooney, and this time they had a lot of fun. For example, in the beer pong scene, the actors improvised and nailed it in one take. The director and screenwriter of the movie didn't even consider anyone else for the leading roles. Moreover, Julia's character was deliberately named Georgia, while George's character was supposed to be called Julius. However, it later seemed like too clumsy of a joke, and the main character was named David instead.
And now he's saying you remind him of a very attractive horse.
Oh. Really?
In this film, Roberts kissed two actors, and both times it was awkward. On the day of filming the scene with George Clooney, his wife and children came to the set, so they had to be taken away so the kids wouldn't ask questions like, "What is Daddy doing with Aunt Julia?" And Lucas Bravo, who played the heroine's boyfriend, was so nervous before his kissing scene with the famous actress that he couldn't sleep the night before. Interestingly, the star has a phenomenal memory and can recall nearly all the iconic lines from her films, even decades later. Moreover, she can reproduce dialogues with her co-stars and recall the smallest details of filming key scenes. But she has one trick that many don't know about. If Roberts for some reason can't re-record her lines in the studio, her colleague, actress Amy Landecker, replaces her since their voices are amazingly similar. In her free time, Julia enjoys watching soccer and is a fan of Manchester United. She has attended their home matches and even visited during their preseason US tour in 2017. Roberts is afraid of heights and absolutely loves pranks. She gladly accepts offers to surprise unsuspecting friends on various talk shows and gets huge pleasure from watching their reactions. However, one time she overdid it. Julia decided to jump out at her eldest son and scream, "Boo!" The boy was badly frightened, and Roberts realized then that she should be more careful with pranks on children. Julia names Indian actress Aishwarya Rai as her ideal of female beauty, admiring her striking appearance. At the same time, Roberts is opposed to Botox. "I want my kids to know when I'm angry, when I'm happy, and when I'm confused," she explains. She doesn't neglect skincare, protecting her face with sunscreen and staying fit with aerobics and running. However, she doesn't use deodorant, not even organic options. Roberts, by the way, prefers eco-friendly alternatives in everything and feeds her children organic food. The star loves cooking and can handle almost any recipe. What brings her special joy is seeing her family enjoy her dishes. Roberts even calls the need to cook 3 meals a day for her family a luxurious honor. Her children have even advised her to open a restaurant, though so far she hasn't dared. Julia's smile is considered her trademark feature. At one point, she insured it for $30 million, and in 2004, Archaeologists named a 9,000-year-old female skeleton unearthed in Bulgaria, Julia Roberts, because of its perfect teeth. The actress is heavily involved in charity work and collaborates with UNICEF, as well as supporting various environmental initiatives. Naturally, she couldn't ignore the war in Ukraine, and on the first anniversary of the Russian invasion, she appeared in a video along with other stars. "We are thinking of you, sending love, our strength, and prayers. You are always in our hearts," she addressed Ukrainians. Julia Roberts' total net worth is estimated at $250 million, and her annual income can easily reach $20 to $40 million. She earns not only as an actress, but also as a producer, having run the production company Red Om Films for many years. The name she came up with in honor of her husband, Red Om, is motor spelled backward. Julia is a highly desirable face for major brands. Companies are ready to pay her staggering amounts just to have her appear in their ads. Julia's real estate portfolio is valued at about $25 million. She owns a home in Malibu, which she bought back in 2003 for either $6.4 or $9.5 million. A few years later, she acquired another mansion directly across the street for $6.8 million. It offers stunning ocean views, a skate park, a tennis court, and a large private yard. Julia and her husband also owned several other properties in Malibu, one of which they rented out. And in 2017, they bought a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom home for $3.9 million. It is believed this purchase was made for investment rather than living. In the 1990s, Roberts bought a ranch in New Mexico where she feels most at peace. Doing housework there recharges her and brings her relief. In 2020, the couple added a Victorian-style mansion in San Francisco to their portfolio for $8.3 million. However, in 2023, Julia sold it for $11.3 million. Roberts has invested in several Manhattan properties. It is known that in 2015, she listed one of her apartments for sale for $4.5 million. In 2011, the couple purchased a beachfront home in Hawaii for $13 million, which they sold 5 years later for $16.2 million after drastically lowering the initial asking price. Julia Roberts' car collection is more modest than her real estate. As a family car, she uses a Mercedes-Benz GL Class. She also owns a Mercedes-Benz GLS, a Mercedes-Benz Sprinter van, and a hybrid Toyota Prius. As for Richard Gere, in 2013, his marriage to Carrie Lowell ended when she found out about her husband's affair with a TV host of Indian descent. This breakup turned out to be a tough ordeal for Richard, as his wife attacked him with accusations and draconian financial demands. But soon, the man found a new love. By that time, the actor had 2 failed marriages behind him and a whole string of romances of varying seriousness. Over the years, his partners included Uma Thurman, Kim Basinger, Priscilla Presley, Barbra Streisand, Diana Ross, and another dozen Hollywood beauties. But it seems that now Gere has stopped searching. At one of the film festivals, he met Alejandra Silva, a journalist and daughter of a former Real Madrid executive. The 34-year age difference didn't bother the seasoned Silver Fox, as he was nicknamed in Hollywood for his categorical refusal to dye his gorgeous gray hair. And after 3 years of dating, he married his beloved. The modest celebration took place in April 2018 in New York and gathered only the couple's closest friends. A year later, they had a son, Alexander, and in 2020, another child was born, whose name has not been disclosed. Now, the actor can afford not to think about fees and to choose work solely from the heart. Richard Gere's net worth is estimated at $120 million, making him one of the wealthiest actors. He has had advertising contracts with the Italian car brand Lancia, the Visa payment system, the soft drink brand Orangina, and others. He invested in a small luxury hotel, Bedford Post Inn, located in the suburbs of New York. At the hotel, guests can meditate, practice yoga, and enjoy delicious meals prepared with organic products from its own farm. Gere himself lives with his family in a spacious mansion located just an hour's drive from Manhattan, on which he spent $10 million on renovations in 2020. Until 2022, Richard owned another residence in Pound Ridge for almost 35 years. He bought it for $1.5 million and recently managed to sell the house for $24 million. This deal is not the only one Gere has made profitably. For example, he sold his luxurious home in Southampton for $36 million, while he had purchased it in 2006 for only $6.5 million. Richard Gere also owns city real estate. Since 2016, he has had an apartment in New York's Gramercy Park area, worth just over $2 million. Until 2011, Gere owned another apartment, which he had for more than 20 years and sold for $2.6 million. Now anyone can rent the spacious and bright apartment for $20,000 a month. Richard Gere is a devoted Buddhist and a lover of life. He passionately fights against injustice and advocates for peace, in addition to fighting for Tibet's freedom, for which he is banned from entering China for life. He engages in issues of ecology, health, and human rights, supporting many international humanitarian missions. Current events also spark his indignation. He even sold one of his cars at auction to donate the proceeds to charities helping war victims in Ukraine. The 1999 collectible Jaguar XK8 convertible went under the hammer for $31,000. The car has a 5-speed automatic transmission and a 4-liter engine. At the time of sale, it had 50,000 kilometers on the odometer. In everyday life, the actor has been spotted driving an Audi RS6. By this stage of his life, Richard Gere has achieved everything one could dream of: 3 sons, a beloved and loving woman, fame, and wealth. It seems the theory that goodness always comes back around finds direct confirmation in his life's journey. And what do you think? What is the secret of Pretty Woman? The story itself, or the incredible chemistry between Richard Gere and Julia Roberts?